Hi, it's Joanne. Today we're watching 911 Lone Star Season 5, Episode 5, Thunderstruck. I'm very excited for this episode. As always, a reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon, and let's go. Yes. The one thing I knew about this episode, because I follow some of the actors online, is that there was going to be some Talos couples counselling. Makes me sad, but also whatever they need to do to keep happy and healthy.
How are we doing today?
How are we doing today?
I'm guessing one of them is less keen on this than the other.
Can you be?
We're
doing great.
And better.
Both things sort of can be true. Like, you're always going to be great because you love each other, but
This is the first
things
session
are
I was
hard
this
right
awkward.
now.
No.
Told her about dinner, then she would agree that all nights.
Carlos, my love, you have got lost in trying to solve your father's murder, and I completely understand it, and I think TK completely understands it, but it's not healthy for you or your relationship to put that much, to just not be present in your life. And your father wouldn't want you to not spend the first year of your marriage enjoying your marriage. He'd want you to, yes, he'd want you to solve his murder, but he would want you to live your life. And like, that's where I feel like the root of this is that Carlos has just got lost. And maybe, to be honest, he probably could do with some individualized therapy, but we'll take this.
That was sweet.
You hear that? It was sweet.
He's not saying
was
you're not
sweet, and it was
sweet, my
delicious.
love.
So why'd you say...
Of course. The number of buttons these two must get through. My god. He's overworking himself, that's for sure.
My father was murdered last year.
Yeah, this is a very
He was shot
complex
in his
case
own
to be
living
dealing
room.
with. And I don't think anyone is saying it doesn't make sense for you to be
I am
doing
so
this, but it's
sorry.
not healthy, sweetheart.
Carlos believes that his death is connected to one of his dad's old investigations.
Oh, he said Carlos believes, which suggests TK is not so sure that that's the case. His dad's death's connected to something because the guy just shot him in the door. He didn't rob the house. It wasn't like he shot him and then burst his way into the house and was like, okay, give me all your valuables or I'll kill you too. He literally just knock, 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 open door, bang, and left. Like, it could have just been a random hate crime against people of color or against the police, or something like that. But if there are no other instances of similar things, like, it was linked to something. But I definitely think the way TK just said Carlos thinks it was linked to an odd case would be suggesting that TK does not think that, which may not sit well with Carlos right now.
You've been more than supportive. You've been incredible.
Thank you for saying that.
Their relationship isn't the problem here. It's
But as hard as he's
where
been
their
working,
brains are at.
he is no closer to solving this than the night it happened.
It's true. It hurts.
It hurts me.
I don't want that.
I'm gonna be okay. Because you're doing the work right now and you're talking to each other about how you're feeling. It sucks and it's painful and it's rubbish, but doing the work is the only way you're gonna get through this. The only way you're going to help that relationship stay as strong as possible.
I founded
because
this as a
every
sanctuary,
relationship has its ups
a
and
place
downs.
for folks to enjoy.
Hey, if you can hear me, I'm adding every cent of damage to your tab.
Oh, I mean, sir, there is an unconscious person on the back of the horse. I think that is the priority over the damage to your bar. Though he was already a bit of a dick. Because, like, yes, the parent letting his kids run wild and, like, in public and not the best, but your response to it, worse.
Yeah, I don't.
We lead a horse to water. I like it.
No, I know something he likes more than water.
Well, I hope horses love IPA.
Oh, God.
So much for that idea. How are you tying knots?
Oh, we're lassoing the horse. Oh, you poor horse. It's okay. Just slow down and let us help you. And help your rider.
Hey,
But I feel like Judge should be the one doing it.
I don't. Come on. Whoa, hey, he's bolting.
Oh, God. Oh, he's just worried about his friend.
He's saying goodbye.
No, that's really sad.
That's why after Daddy's funeral, I'm taking him in.
Taking him in?
Oh,
Put
dear.
him out of his misery.
You can't sell them?
Is Owen about to adopt a
Put 'em out to
horse?
pasture?
We never see Buttercup as it is.
Conscience.
Say something, or are you just gonna keep lurking?
How did you?
I love the TK and Tommy relationship. I love the TNT dynamic. Like, I love it. But it does make me sad that TK never really goes to his dad for advice anymore and help. And, like, yes, Owen hasn't always been, like, the best, but they were such a staple of season 1 of, like, how the show's heart, like, DNA when the show started, of their dynamic. And he's going to Tommy for advice, or he's going through with Carlos and not his dad. Now, maybe in this instance, he feels like Tommy will be the one that will have more useful input than his dad, but...
I have two 13-year-olds.
Well, it's the kind of thing I used to call my mom about.
Okay, that's why he's gone to Tommy, because he wants his mum's input.
Sit. How can I help?
And, how'd you get him to stop?
It was
What's
Tommy.
It was you?
Yeah, no, I was the jerk. And a smile. And he said, I'm going to enjoy our time together, whether you like it or not. And from that...
I think it is one of those things where it's like definitely kind of like TK said, because it's so understandable him being desperate to find out who killed his father, that being upset that he's doing it makes you feel weird and selfish. But there is a degree of, you deserve to have like your partner around sometimes, and like your husband should come home and spend time with you. That's nice, that's life, that's, you know, good for both of your mental healths. And then also knowing that it's not good for Carlos to be so consumed by it that he's losing track of everything else in his life. And like I said earlier in the episode, it's the last thing his dad would have wanted.
I bet every one of those folks dependent on you for justice would hope you could find a better use of that big brain of yours than worrying about stationery.
It's true. Like, while he's at work, he definitely shouldn't be worrying about anything like that. But it's also, if he consumes himself so much on these cases, then he's not going to be at 100%. He's going to be drowning and losing himself, and therefore he won't be the best person at work, and then he won't be giving the cases proper attention. Like, if you are able to have a kind of work-life balance, as a cop, it might not be the same as, you know, someone who is able to just work 9 to 5 and then go home. Like, it will still be a little bit different work-life balance-wise. But if he doesn't have a healthy work-life balance, his brain won't be healthy. And if his brain isn't healthy, he won't be doing good on his cases. And then he won't be giving the people the right number. Like, it is a cycle of, you have to look after yourself in order to help other people. And it can be so easy when you're a good person like Carlos to lose sight of looking after yourself. I mean, did you bring the horse to the firehouse?
I wanted to introduce you to Thunder. Is it the best idea that we run into burning buildings? No, but we do it anyway. Why?
To save lives.
Couldn't save the owner's life, but we can save his.
Okay, and I love this. I love wanting to save him. But also, I mean, you are a wealthy man. You can rent space at a random stable someplace to keep him until you find someone to take him. All right? You make a lot of money, and you already had a decent amount of money. Like, I don't actually know how wealthy Owen is, but like, he's doing all right. Like, you can have a stable someplace for him, okay? Because if he's here and something goes wrong, well, now you're not going to get to that burning building. Now the paramedic team isn't going to be able to get to that heart attack victim because there's a horse running around rampant in their place, smashing everything. And then when you go out, are you have you asked whoever it is that remains in the station while you're out to, if they're okay to care for a horse that may or may not have a medical condition, or that does have a medical condition that may mean that it goes a little bit wild? Owen.
Hell just happened. Is everyone all right?
Is it going to be contagious?
Is there a doctor?
Oh Lord.
It's probably her tongue. Check that.
Ooh.
That is not her tongue.
Oh, what was that?
I don't know.
Did she swallow drugs? But surely the whole lot of them didn't swallow drugs. I'm trying to think of what would be in her mouth.
Drugs usually in the body of someone that's smuggling them.
Cap, mine's coding.
Start compressions and
So
give her Narcan.
they all had it, the
Nancy?
symptom rate kind of burst out of them.
Give it to all of them.
Our bus only carries 2, Cap.
Yeah, we're not taking our bus.
This
Nancy,
bus.
how do you feel about driving stick?
I mean, maybe we could borrow a firefighter who's trained to drive a big bus, because maybe Nancy is. Me and TK, he's trained.
We're really sorry for your loss.
Our condolences, ma'am.
Oh fuck,
None
she
of this
died.
makes any sense.
Somebody on the B shift ratted us out to the chief, so moving out.
In the
I
middle
mean-
of a shift?
Yeah, Paul knows. He's gonna be captain while I'm gone.
Probably good.
Where you going?
B-ship aren't should be
Colorado.
expected to live after
Why
him.
Colorado?
What do you mean?
I mean this.
Does he see himself in
Look,
Thunder?
his bad behavior is the behavior of an animal in pain. Now, don't nobody like to do it, but people put him down all the time.
I don't care what people do. I'm not gonna give up on somebody just because it's inconvenient.
Somebody? We still talking about the horse?
Not him at all.
I guess there is one last option, but you ain't
Your-
gonna like it.
One of your ranches or something?
What do we have here?
I read this place from the Rubio family. I don't know. It's what I would say if I was a criminal drug lady.
I lost my sister. My best friend. And for what? For a brief that my boss has already sent back to me to redo.
I mean,
It was awful.
situations are different in terms of what your work is, but you do need to not forget your partner and your own personal life.
What are you doing here? You said you were working late.
I thought you said you had a meeting.
So did you.
They're both
hiding
trying to
something.
surprise each other with
No,
a
I'm
huge
not.
What are you doing
gesture.
behind your back?
Your anniversary gift. It's a guitar with lessons for us to take together. You know, I was hoping. Why do you have wrapping paper out?
Do I?
Colors.
Bows and ribbons.
But yours is so much better. Mine is dumb.
No, it's not. The thought is what counts.
Put away all my work files. My phone. All my obsessions.
Okay, this
really don't
gesture is
have to
very
promise me that,
sweet.
Carlos.
I do. I told you it was dumb.
No,
It's
baby.
adorable.
It's the sweetest gift anybody's ever got me.
Giddy up.
Okay. No, I'm not an Owen hater like a lot of people are. I do enjoy Owen's character the majority of the time. But I do feel like this episode should have been bookended with Talos. Because we opened with them in the therapy scene. And so it would have been nice to end it with them. Like, have Owen in the horse scene, then cut to TK coming home, and them having their conversation. Because I feel like that would have bookended the episode really nicely, instead of it being like, Owen has to end the episode. But that's not the point. Okay, so my favorite character in the show is TK. My second favorite character in the show is Carlos. So you can probably guess what my favorite part of this show is. But I do obviously love. I mean, yeah, there isn't a main character in the show that I dislike. I love them all so dearly. So anytime an episode is going to have a little bit of a focus on TK and or Carlos, I'm like, yes. And obviously this was in some ways a hard one to watch because they weren't in a good place, and it's fairly early in their marriage for them to not be in a good place. But I think on the whole it was handled well given the time it was had in the episode. And again, I'm not throwing shade there. I'm saying, like, because this is an ensemble cast, there's a lot of other stuff that had to happen. They couldn't have any more time really in the episode, because it is true that both of them do jobs that are extremely stressful and extremely important, and that Carlos's job is one where, technically speaking, you can be doing it 24/7. Like, you could bring your case files home and keep working on them and never stop working. And that is what a lot of fictional detective-y type people do. They don't have a personal life, but that is incredibly unhealthy for you, for your family, and for the cases you're working, because if you burn yourself out but then just keep on going, you're not going to be able to give your all at work, even with this incredibly important work. I think it is important to have that stable home life, to go home and to be present with the person you love, and then when you come back to work, give it 100% to the cases you're doing. And then obviously there will be days and cases where you do need to stay late, times when you're like, oh, the case I'm working on right now, it's pressing, and naturally your partner TK will be like, yes, I get that, in the same way that, like, with the gas episode, they had to work beyond their shift or whatever, although, like, that was incredibly traumatic. And similarly, like, Carlos will just keep working on his dad's case in some of his spare time, just keep working. And when he eventually makes a break, when he figures something out, that's the point when it's like, yes, go ahead, all guns blazing. Like, I mean, still sleep, eat, hug your husband. Like, obviously don't completely give up on your personal life either, but that's the point when you can kind of be a little bit more like, all my focus is here because I'm going to solve it. I have the pieces to the puzzle. Whereas when you're just hitting the same brick wall every single day and losing your life as a result of it, it isn't worth it for anybody. And Gabriel would have been one of the first people to say that to him, because Gabriel and Carlos's mum seemed to have a good relationship where they spent time together and they were present, and he still had the mountain of case files. So in some ways it's sad that he doesn't have his dad there to like talk to and to get guidance from about kind of this shift, because when you're the sort of cop Carlos used to be, I feel like that's a little bit more similar to the paramedic stuff. Like, once you clock off, once you leave the shift, you're done. You might think over, oh, this thing happened earlier and I wonder what happened to that person who did that, but you're not going to be like working the case so much. Obviously there were instances where Carlos was working the case, but those are where he was kind of helping out the detectives a little bit more. It was different. So this is kind of his first time doing a job where, technically speaking, it is possible to spend 24 hours a day doing this case, working it all out, but it is incredibly unhealthy for everybody involved. And I think they did a good job of showcasing this. I don't think they made TK like whiny or like, oh, I know your job might be important, but I'm important too. Where, like, which there is a danger with this kind of plotline when someone is doing a job as important as Carlos is, that it could seem like their partner is being needy and whiny and selfish. But I think it was just, this isn't a healthy situation for either of them, and both of them acknowledged it. And you know, TK was very aware that he was potentially being a little bit selfish or pulling Carlos away from something that did matter. And I think another important point was when they likened it to it being like with an addict, with this not being able to stop with the case. And in some ways that kind of relentlessness and not listening could be a little bit triggering as well, but also it's just such a sort of unhealthy situation all around. And hopefully going forward, Carlos will be in a much healthier headspace, and therefore he'll be able to give even more 100% at work, and ultimately it will help him figure something out with his dad's case. Because I assume if his dad had like 300 open cases, then you just kind of need to go through them one by one, and like that one, I don't think it's that. That one, I don't think it's that, but there are still some questions that goes in this pile. You know, you just kind of need to slowly but surely work your way through it. And his dad is dead. He's not coming back to life. There's not a reason that whoever's killing him is not similarly targeting other people. There isn't really an urgency around this other than just Carlos wanting to know what happened to his dad. So he can take a little bit of time, he can breathe with it. Yes, it means the person that did it isn't facing justice for another day, but it's okay to just do it piece by piece by piece. And I hope we get a like, my big thing with this is that I want Carlos to find out who killed his dad. The part of me that loves him wants it to be nice and easy. The part of me that loves television is like, it can be as angsty and dramatic as we need it to be. But I'm really scared that it's either A, going to happen in like finale time, and I want there to be like a decent chunk of time where he's at peace with that, he's done it, and we get at least a couple of episodes where there are at least a couple of scenes where he's just getting to live his life at peace, separate from that. I know there were some rumblings of they had been thinking of doing a spin-off with Carlos and his partner in the Marshals, and I'm mildly concerned that they were like, oh, he can solve his dad's case in the spin-off, because then it won't get solved, and that will bother me forever unless they pick up this show for a season 6. Please, please, TV gods, please, miracle TV gods. So I did enjoy the Carlos and TK stuff, and that both of them were honest with each other about how they were feeling, even when they knew that what they were saying might make the other one a little bit upset, which can be the hardest time, to be honest. But they were also just so caring for each other and just so determined to get through this rough patch and to make it work. And I think that is the secret of any relationship, marriages in particular, but friendships kind of, is if you hit the rough patch, don't just pretend it's not there. You need to talk it through. You need to be willing to do the work to get there. And that is the only way you're going to keep going. It's when you kind of try and be like, everything's fine, that's when it's eventually going to just crumble. So I really did enjoy their scenes. And I really enjoyed TK going to Tommy. Now, I do still think this show over the last couple of seasons has kind of lost the TK and Owen relationship from it. And I think in a way that just part of that is because this is an ensemble show and there's only so much time each character is going to get. And of course, the more serious TK and Carlos get, the more Carlos is going to be TK's scene partner in a lot of his personal life scenes. It makes sense, and I don't want that to change, but I do also feel like we just don't, and obviously TK being a paramedic instead of being on the fire team, like they just don't really talk that much. And it did make sense him going to Tommy because he wanted to go to his mum, and so he went to someone that would have a similar kind of feel about her, like, you know, almost a surrogate second mum that Tommy is. And I really did enjoy that, and I love their dynamic, but I do miss the Owen and TK moments because we kind of, I don't think we've had a single one yet in five episodes. And TK nearly died in one of them. They both nearly died in like the third episode, and they haven't interacted at all, probably. So I'm like, just give me something. But I did really enjoy that scene, and how Tommy again, like, I love the TNT relationship, and I love how Tommy has just wholeheartedly thrown herself back into the 126 as a family. I mean, obviously she did that in season 2. It's been a while now, but she is just like, I remember in season 2 when, I think it might have even been the first episode of season 2, when she was worrying that she was hurting her girls by coming to the 126, and Judd was like, no, you've just given them even more family. And that's so true. But I love the dynamic they have, the way Tommy is able to be vulnerable with TK and kind of tell him about some of her darker moments that maybe once upon a time she would never have dreamed of telling somebody, especially not like one of her subordinates. I mean, I don't mean that in like a subordinate, I mean that in like a, you know, someone that you've got to be professional in front of. But it just really helped them to connect even further, and that makes me happy. Now, the murdery drug thing, how many of those people, like all of those people who died, is absolutely devastating. But they caught the witch, so that is great. She can go to prison for life because she's got at least 5 counts of murder on her hands, not to mention all the drug smuggling stuff. I do feel sorry for the random woman who didn't get to finish her acupuncture day. Like she was having acupuncture. She was just there, potentially, and hopefully it was before the pins had gone in, because you know, you don't really want to be stuck. But like, can someone help? So I'm glad they called the woman. And I feel very sorry for the sister and for everyone else involved, all the desperate people. They move the horse. Again, this plotline was a little Owen indulgent, which this show can be, and I'm not an Owen hater, like I said. There are moments where I feel like, I'm like, okay, Owen being the one to lasso the horse, a bit much. Like, he has approximately 0 experience, right? I mean, I suppose he has been to the ranch with Judd, so maybe Judd has shown him, and so he felt confident to do it. Judd could make the thing, and then Owen would be already strapped up, whereas if Judd was like strapped up and then making the thing, it would take longer. But I wouldn't have said Owen was my first choice to do the lassoing. And then his determination to save this horse, and him realizing that it's kind of, he's got a health condition, so we have to kill him, how that really would hit home with his brother, because I'm glad we had a time jump so we weren't left like right in the misery, because like I'm still upset that the TK and Carlos wedding episode was so fucking miserable. Like obviously the wedding was beautiful and perfect and made me cry happy tears and emotional tears, and then like it was brilliant, but the episode itself was just so sad with Carlos's dad and then Robert, that I was just like, no, we built up a whole season, you promised us this was the season of the Carlos wedding, and then you made it sad. So yeah, I'm still not okay with that, but I'm glad we didn't have to sit in those emotions too heavily, because while this show does cover heavy emotions, it is also good to kind of show the healing side of it. And Owen does seem so kind of like stuck in the same loop of thinking about it, so I feel like we need to see him grow through that. I also don't need him and Wyatt's mum to become a thing. I really hope that's not what they were hinting at, and that's not why they got rid of his previous girlfriend, because just, it's okay. I'm okay. Owen can be single until the end of the show, then I can imagine he meets someone nice, or Catherine comes back, or whatever her name was last season. Brain fog. I think I only remember Catherine's name because I watched, like, before season 4 came out, I like watched seasons 1 to 3 like several times, and then like I've watched season 4 several times, but I've watched season 3 as well. Anyway, I'm glad the horse is going to be okay. I am not too keen on another Owen relationship, but I also will see. Maybe it will surprise me, and hopefully I'm just reading way too much into it. But I'm not surprised the B shift called in the fact that yeah, Captain Strand's got a horse in the firehouse, because it's very impractical. It's not sanitary. It's like if the horse breaks free, it could cause damage and it could hinder them getting to a rescue. Like, I love the sentiment. I love the idea. I suppose no stable would take him because if he was a risk. But just realistically, it's not good or safe. But I'm glad Thunder survived. So yeah, a very good episode. Reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon. And thank you so much for watching.